Welcome back to another edition of the feature show. I'm your host, Jawairiya Tanveer, and I'm going to be joined by Rehana, Faisal, and Shazam Mahmood in the first half of the show. Rehana and Shazam are both trustees at the Raise Up Foundation, and they will be discussing their journeys with the Raise Up Foundation so far. Assalamu alaikum, Rehana and Shazam. I want to thank you both for giving up your time today to join me on the show. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves first, even though I'm sure our listeners are very familiar with both of you, with all the brilliant work you do. Rehana, I'll start off with you. Could you just introduce yourselves to our listeners, please?
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. My name's Rehana Faisal. I am involved in a number of community projects, but I'm here this evening as chair of the Raise Up Foundation.
Lovely. And Shazam, could you introduce yourself as well?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shazam. I've worked in Luton, well, in and around Luton education for the last 15 years. I'm currently still working with the Children Learning Trust at a school based towards Bedford. However, today I am talking on behalf of Raise Up Foundation, who I'm proud to be working with and as a trustee.
Lovely, thank you, Shazam. Now, Raise Up Foundation is a local initiative that was established in January 2020, but launched last year in June 2021. I'm sure our listeners are familiar with what Raise Up is, but for those that aren't, Rehana, could you please describe what Raise Up Foundation is and what it stands for? Rehana?
Yes, sure, happy to. We set up Raise Up Foundation actually just before the pandemic, but the pandemic sort of made that we sort of delayed starting work until the middle of last year. But we set up Raise Up Foundation because we really wanted to have something for the young people in our town that really and I really dislike the use of the phrase raise aspirations. What I talk about is enable aspiration. So we know that we've got a bright, talented community, that our young people are bright, that our families are aspirational, but we really thought we really need something that supports our young people, that supports our families in enabling some of those aspirations and making young people aware of the opportunities that are out there, aware of their own potential, and helping to give them the skills and opportunities to get where they want to be. So that was the kind of impetus in us setting up the foundation. We thought that we couldn't see enough opportunities around that really celebrated our young people, and we really wanted to create something that targets and supports them and works with them to get them to where they want to be.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rehana. Now, I think it's fair to say for both of you, myself, and a lot of us in this town who are Muslim, that our values come from our religion, and those values feed into the work that we do. Shazam, I'll come to you first. How would you say your personal values tie in with the values of Raise Up?
I think I've been working with Raise Up for quite a period of time now, and I've obviously known some of the trustees prior to joining it as well. And I think values that are really important to me, number one, are about having integrity, and that's absolutely important. So we talk a lot about Luton and the close-knit community that we have, and the people who work extremely hard in our community with our young people and our families and our most vulnerable. So I'm obviously, before joining, I already knew some of the people, and I knew about the integrity that they work with and how close they work with a variety of different people in the community. Secondly, it's working with grassroots organizations, which is really important for me. I think growing up in Luton, a lot of the time you always heard about negative things about Luton, particularly in the late 90s, and then obviously after 2000. And I think seeing the fact that we work with organizations that are from the community, that work for the community, is really important to me, because we're empowering not only our young people through that, we're also empowering our local organizations. So we're really passionate about working with local people. And if you see our summer schools and you see the projects that we do, they're focused on working with those local organizations that really understand the community of Luton, because it's quite unique in its setting, and I think it's quite unique in not only unique in its opportunities, but also unique in the challenges that our young people face in the town. And lastly, I would say I like working at, and one of the values that Raise Up is really important to me is that it's community focused. It's focused on helping those and bridging those gaps with our community, and making sure that we close those gaps in order to help support our young people to get to the um, best possible outcomes for them.
Brilliant. Thank you, Shazam. And Rehana, same question to you. How would you say your values contribute to the work of Raise Up?
So certainly for me, and I know it's true for Shazam, and I know it's true for a lot of people in our town. Islam, my faith, underpins, motivates, and shapes everything I do. And Shazam has very eloquently talked about many of the things that that I would agree with. So I'm not going to regurgitate them, but I think what I might add to that is justice, and Islamic principles of justice, and what that looks like in the way that we work, and the way that we engage with our young people. And I would say, and actually challenge anybody who's listening to also think about, how do we talk about our young people and how do we engage with them? And I think very, very often, particularly in Luton, we will hear our young people and discussions about them framed in the negative, and framed from a deficit point of view. And I really want to flip that on our head and say that absolutely, that some of our young people may have challenges, but there is ample evidence that our young people are working really hard to overcome those challenges. We have got 3 outstanding schools and some of the best grades in the country coming from young people in this town, despite what we know are huge levels of poverty and increasing levels of poverty. And they're not just overcoming economic barriers, but there are, social, socio-political barriers that they have to overcome in terms of their identity. Whether we're talking about ethnicity, whether we're talking about their religion, and other ways in which they're racialized, we know that they are, confronted with a number of challenges. And so I really, really want to turn the conversation about our young people on their head. And I really want us to talk about and consider how talented they are, how hardworking they are, and talk about them with some compassion. It's really easy when you're older to look at young people, and you'll hear this line every generation. They'll say, the youth of today, and that would have been said about you, Jawairiya, would have been said about me, definitely would be said about Shazam. It's a generational thing, but I want us to look at our young people and say, the youth of today, they've got challenges that we didn't have. In many ways, their lives are a lot harder than our lives were. Their lives are very different to how our lives were. How can we support them? So I think I'll just throw kind of compassion and justice in there to add to the things that Shazam spoke about.
Lovely. You both touched on some really great points there. And yes, Luton is a town where there are high levels of poverty, and there are lots of students who do come from disadvantaged backgrounds. And, like Shazam, you said, it is a town where, unfortunately, there does seem to be a bit of a negative attitude towards it. But what Raise Up does is highlight the positives that our young people are doing, and that is reflective of the work that you guys do. Now, Shaz, you are a proud Lutonian, and I remember when I visited the centre not so long ago, it was really lovely because I got to see awards being given out to the kids who have progressed in various ways and achieved so much in the Winter Club. Awards were being given out to the volunteers who help in the running of the club by giving up their time. And I remember you mentioned something there, Shaz, and you mentioned it earlier on today as well. You said these amazing volunteers are from the community and they're giving back to the community. And we're going to hear from Anna and Hafsa in the second half of the show with Amar. Now, Shaz, why is it so important to have an initiative like Raise Up in our town, and I guess in particular the Saints area?
I think the question for me, when you were asking it, even though the question is about having it in Saints area, but I just want to touch on the point about the local volunteers. If I go back to my school times, I remember in my school and around the local role models that I would see, a lot of them wouldn't represent me, and I wouldn't feel the connection with them that I think that I would have if they were from my locality, if they understood the challenges, if they understood the kind of difficulties that I was facing, not only as a young person from Luton, but also as a young person in Luton who is Pakistani, and a young person from Luton who is Muslim, and the variety of challenges that come with that as kind of a first and second generation children that we were. And like Rehana touched on earlier, the children now have a unique set of challenges in our town. They have a unique set of challenges in our area. Also, touching on the fact of what Rehana said, is the fact that we have outstanding schools in our community who do fantastic work in their schools. I still feel there's lots of work that we need to do in our community with closing the gaps between, not only closing the gaps between attainment, but also closing the gaps in between the understanding of how to best work with our community. Because as a teacher, we talk about the fact that parental engagement is really important, and I'm sure Jawairiya, you've heard that a lot in your CPD. You probably heard that a lot at school as well. But parental engagement, before you can do it, it's about understanding the community that you work in. Saints, obviously, and the area that I live in myself as well, had seen a growth in youth violence, and I think across the town and nationally as well, you've seen issues that have arisen as a result of not only the societal factors and the demographic factors and poverty and so on, but also have been further widened by the pandemic, which is why I really was happy when Raise Up, I had the opportunity to join and work with Raise Up, because we had the opportunity to bridge and close those gaps and really mend those relationships that have probably been scuppered by factors that have been out of our control, but providing the opportunity. So we're really passionate about not only working with our local community, but also working with our local schools to help develop their links with parents, with the local community, and understanding the challenges that the community face.
Lovely, thank you, Shaz. And Rehana, we just heard Shaz talk about the importance of having that representation within the volunteers. And I remember I messaged you over the holidays, Rehana, asking if I could help out wherever I could. And you invited me down to just see it all in action for myself. And it was brilliant. Love the atmosphere, love the vibe. And I think one of my favourite things was everyone had their families there. So I met Shazam's daughter, Sufyan had his kids there. And I know, Rehana, you've got your own daughter, Anna, involved as well. Rehana, what would you say to anyone who is interested in volunteering?
I would say definitely get in touch with us, that we've got a range of different opportunities as we're growing. But I think one of the things reason why I'd also encourage people to get in touch with us, because Raise Up from its very inception has been a collaborative project. So this isn't us saying, here's what we're going to do. It is us co-creating our volunteers. I mean, and obviously Shazam and I are also just volunteers. I say just, but we're volunteers, and we're all co-creating this project and this space. And a lot of the work that we have delivered have been community members, volunteers, people coming to us and saying, is this something that we could do? Is this something that we could trial? Could we give this a go? And we've been really open to saying, of course, let's see if that works. And developing our work collaboratively with our communities. And when we do keep talking about communities, but Shazam and I and our other trustees, we are also the community. We live and breathe the lives of everybody who steps in to Raise Up, and our children are there because our children are part of that community. So this for us is also yes, it's a project, and there's a charity, and we can talk about it in really corporate ways, but these are also our lives, and the lives of all the people that are important to us. So I'd say to people listening who are interested and think there's something that we've missed, or there's something that you think that we could do that would really help young people, in terms of the ways that in the ways that we have discussed, then get in touch with us, and we're happy to co-create and co-produce projects with people.
Just listening to you, I think it is so evident your passion for Raise Up and the importance of having an initiative like that in our town now. You mentioned you and Shazam and all the trustees are from the community. If we kind of turn back the clock to when Raise Up first started, Rehana, who was involved in the making of Raise Up? What was the thought process behind it, and how did it just come about, really?
So we first set up, and I've semi-touched on it. I was just a little bit disappointed in the way that young people from our community that I talked about, and I genuinely love young people, and anybody who knows me and has seen spent any time with me, I genuinely love them. I genuinely believe in them, and I felt a little bit disappointed actually that sometimes when you engage with different organizations, and particularly at a corporate level, you didn't always feel that love and belief in our communities, and we think that there is lots of good stuff going on. I don't want to detract from that, there is, and so I talked about the schools, and but I think all of that good stuff and the results that come out of it are because we have such an amazing community, and there was so much more that I think can be done. We are in Saints, and Saints is then the relevance of being in Saints is it's one of Luton's most deprived wards, and it borders Dallow, it borders Biscot, it borders kind of Chorley Leagrave. It's right in the middle there of some of Luton's most deprived wards, and despite doing so well, we're not really getting the outcomes longer term that our communities are concerned, and that social mobility that we would expect to see happen isn't happening. And so we really wanted to say, again, going to that point of justice, we've got these aspirational families, we've got hardworking young people, but we're not getting to where we need to be. So what needs to be done? And so we came together as a very small group initially, and again, all local people interested in the local area, but as you will know, we're setting up a charity. A lot of it is about what are all the different kind of skill sets that we need to have here. So Shazam is definitely our expert around education, but also around careers and career pathways. He spent 12 years at Luton Sixth Form College, so has a wealth of knowledge around that. One of our other trustees, Sobia, is a nursery practitioner, but also previously a chair of governors at a primary school, so lots of experience around there. We've got finance experience on the board, we've got operational experience on the board. So at that stage, it was kind of a case of assembling a team that could just help us get the mission off the ground.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rehana. Now, Shazam, we've just heard Rehana speak about the importance of having a variety of skill sets to support the work of Raise Up. And one group of people that we have seen who do give up their time is teachers. And you yourself, Shazam, are in teaching. One of the aims, I guess, of Raise Up was to always develop that relationship between the school and community. Shazam, can you tell us about some of the teachers who have been involved with Raise Up and how teachers can give up their time to support the work?
I'm apprehensive with this question. There's been so many, so I don't want to miss anyone out. But just talk about a few examples. We've been fortunate in the fact that so much people have volunteered their time. So initially, when we started the summer club this year, we had Mr. Rashid, from Puttridge, who volunteered his time, who came over and worked with us throughout the summer, delivered quite a few of the sessions, and managed the pupils throughout the summer. So that was excellent. We also, Sarah Hussain actually tweeted saying, I don't know, she's a teacher at Chorley Girls. She tweeted saying that over the summer that she was finding it boring. So we kind of got in touch with her, and she's volunteered pretty much throughout all of the holidays and all the clubs that we can. So she's been a fantastic supporter and ambassador for Raise Up. We've worked closely with Tom Bellwood from Chorley Boys, and Abid Khan as well from Chorley Boys, who's visited a number of times. We're not going to get away without mentioning his name, but Sufyan Sadiq has been involved a number of times on a number of different projects, and has been a real supporter and source of guidance for us at Raise Up with our projects. We've worked closely with Connect for Causes, who are not teachers, but they're a young charity based in Luton with pupils that have recently come out of school who are supporting young people in our locality, and they come with those the ideas that actually work for the young people. So contrary to popular belief, I'm past my 20s, and it's so good to have their perspective on what would work with our most vulnerable young people, because they know what the young people are going through and they know what works for them. Asma Baig has been an excellent supporter. Just only recently she came and was one of the judges on our Dragon's Den, and was massively blown away by some of the production skills and presentation skills of our young people. I know a variety of schools that we've worked with across Luton, and we're hoping to further our work with over the coming months. We've got some work coming up with Lorraine Hughes at Chiltern Learning Trust as well. So the list only goes on, but I think part of it is about networking. It is about keeping those close community links. And I think everyone that works in the education sector that we work with has a focus on engaging with the community, and it's beneficial for the young people in our town. And I think people that do work in education, they have that passion where they've got into the trade, not and I know we need to pay our bills, but not just because of money, but because they want to help our young people to really achieve to their best and their fullest potential. And seeing potential being wasted is the most saddest thing. And we want to create the best possible opportunities and advice for those young people. We've had some real success stories with some of our young people in our town. I know I'm slightly digressing from the original question, but part of that has been through the support of our volunteers and of the young people in our town.
Brilliant. Thank you, Shazam. Now, Rehana, in a short space of time, I remember seeing so much brilliant work that Raise Up had done through Twitter. And I remember you and I had a conversation, and you mentioned there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see online. Yes, there's been so much great work that has gone on, but if I know one thing about both of you and your trustees, it is that you guys are definitely ambitious and you just want to keep doing more because you know there is more to be done. Now, Rehana, could you tell us about some of the projects that Raise Up have planned moving forward? I know Shazam's kind of hinted at some people who might be potentially joining down the line as well.
Yeah, I think we're very excited about what's to come. I'm just going to add to what Shazam said there, is to say, again, just to talk about the generosity of our community, because I don't think, and Shazam can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's any time that we've not reached out for help and someone said no. Whoever we have asked, alongside teachers, Dr. Mahmood has done a number of basic life skill sessions. We've had Dr. Amar, who is a friend in Inspire FM, who's done a whole course around helping young people into medical school. A whole range of people who have done so much. And each time we have gone out for help and asked for it, because a new charity, there's, we're running on steam rather than cash at the moment. So we rely completely on the help, and we've never had a no. So I just really wanted to acknowledge the help and support, and just our thanks and gratitude for that as we're speaking about it. But in terms of what's coming, we already do, and you're right to say that a lot of the stuff that we see on social media is is the stuff that we do publicly, but there is, we do quite a lot of advocacy for young people. Young people do get themselves in trouble sometimes, and they need support in order to, whatever trouble they've got into, we need them to move on to that, or on from that. We need them, we want them, we love them, we want them to make good from that. So we do support and advocate for our young people. Shazam is working with a couple of young people at the moment in supporting them. They've had some challenges last year, but just supporting them into getting into university. We've had other young people with other challenge, with a number of different sort of range of challenges that we're supporting. We want to grow that mentorship program. So if you wouldn't mind, Jawairiya, I'm just going to use this platform to say that if you are somebody who's interested in mentoring, whether it's careers advice, whether it's just sitting down with a young person and having a chat and using perhaps your own lived experience about overcoming adversity, then please get in touch with us. We'd be happy to sign you up as mentors. We're hoping very soon to have some training for mentors, so please do sign up for that. We want to, again, very soon, trying to get the logistics and frankly the finances together, but we do want to have a regular youth club for young people to drop into. A unique model, and Shazam has touched on our work with Connect for Causes, a brilliant group of young people in Luton. So the youth club will be sort of led, would be a peer-led youth club. We're working really hard to get that off the ground, but we're also thinking about, and I said right at the beginning, about us wanting to change the narrative about young people. So we are talking about developing a training which allows us to engage not just with young people in schools, but also teachers and educators in our schools, and think about how we can work together and support them to better support our communities. Shazam, I don't know if I'm missing things. There is lots going on. We want to do some more work around, we had an open day around mental health. We want to do a little bit more around mental health. So there is lots going on. I've probably missed lots.
I think there's work that we've got going, and I think as Rehana said, we've got projects that we're working on. Part of it is the fact that we heavily rely on our volunteers and the time that people do give. I think a couple of projects that we've got in the pipeline as well, alongside Luton Food Bank.
Yes.
And which is really important work, and kind of the idea around that part of it is about developing a more building on the work that Luton Food Bank have done, supporting them to help to reach out to communities to make the kind of the products that they provide more community appropriate, I think, for want of a better word. And I think the work, and I think obviously it's important, but we talked about it actually. We said so some people don't know how to make pasta. They want, and for the Desi viewers out there, they want atta and they want jawal, and having that as a provision is really important. So lots of projects going on, and we probably have missed out a few that we're talking about, but really important work. And I'm going to chuck it out there. If anyone does want to give up their time or wants to get involved or is looking for opportunity to support their local community any way possible, and you've got an idea that you think that we've missed, we're always open to have those conversations. So do reach out.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And listeners, as you heard Rehana and Shaz just say, if you have any service to offer, any skills, any ideas, offer your time, then do get in touch with Raise Up Foundation. Shazam, Rehana, thank you so much for joining me in this half of the show.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having us.
Welcome back to the second half of the Raise Up Foundation special. I'm Jawairiya Tanveer, and in the first half, I was joined by Rehana Faisal and Shazam Mahmood. Rehana and Shazam are both trustees at the Raise Up Foundation, and we heard them discuss the importance of having an initiative like Raise Up Now Town. They also discussed how the journey of Raise Up began and who was involved, as well as some of the brilliant work that has already been done in such a short space of time. We also heard them give us a little bit of a hint as to some of the projects that are still yet to come. In this half, you would be joined by my co-host Amar, who will be speaking with Hafsa and Anna, both volunteers at Raise Up, as well as Halima and Rahim, who have both been attending Raise Up to hear their perspectives on what it's like to attend Raise Up, some of the projects they've been involved in, and the skills that they have gained. I hope you enjoy.
Hafsa, describe your role here to the listeners.
So I recently joined Raise Up about a month ago. I'm the development worker. So my job is to basically try and achieve the long-term and short-term goals of the charity. That will take many shapes and sizes. So we've got mentoring programs, we've got enrichment clubs, we've got a youth club, we've got lots of things in the pipeline. So my kind of job is to try and execute the vision of the charity and try and kind of brainstorm other things that we can be doing going ahead.
And how have you found it so far?
I've really enjoyed it. We've had a fantastic time at this particular winter club. Got to know a lot of children from lots of different schools, met lots of adults and different organisations. So I've really enjoyed myself.
Brilliant. I'm going to direct my question to Anna. You're one of the ambassadors for Raise Up, and you work with the young people here. Describe what that involves.
I feel like it's quite... Ambassador seems like a bit of a grandiose title for it, because I think just for me, I see myself as just a friend to everyone, and I think there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, in the sense of I do recognise that the children that come here, they do really look up to you, and they're excited by the prospect of having that friend that's a bit older than them. So for me to realise that what I'm doing will kind of be seen by them a lot. So I think that my role, I guess, just entails being a good role model as best as I can, and being a friend that's there to listen to them, to kind of get involved with them, to encourage them when they're not feeling up to the activity. And I think also, again, just relaying, because I think over time that I do develop quite close relationships with the children, and then that being so, I think they kind of provide a good kind of feedback mechanism back to the trustees. So yeah, I guess just making sure that everyone is enjoying it, and if there's anything that can be improved, just to flag that up too.
Brilliant. Okay, we're going to come back to you and find out a little bit more about some of the work that you're doing. I certainly see from what I've seen of your work at Raise Up, I think you are a great ambassador for Raise Up in the community, as well as are many of the young people. And we're going to go on to some of the young people now. So we've got here Raheel. You've been involved in Raise Up over the winter program. Tell us about some of the activities that's involved.
It's a very good question. So I would like to answer this question by speaking about two activities specifically. The first session here at Raise Up was a debating activity. It was a discussion-based task. We had to share our views and perspectives on a given topic or motion. Debating is very beneficial for young people for a variety of reasons. First of all, it develops your reasoning skills and your logic, so being able to convey your points meaningfully and being able to build a strong logical argument. And also it encourages you to use facts and statistics and your prior knowledge to convey your argument. Secondly, it also enhances your expression and delivery. This is being able to speak with the right tone, the right pace, language and body language in order to convincingly make your point. There's also the ability to listen and respond. You have to be able to listen critically to the other side's argument and develop a response quickly, building confidence. And then the next 3 days of the program were all combat sports. So we had 2 days of boxing and 1 day of mixed martial arts. And obviously learning combat is very important in this society, especially because most of the young people here come from marginalized, underrepresented communities, especially with Islamophobia being on the rise. And combat training also teaches perseverance, it sharpens the mind, and it increases focus and instills self-discipline along with a myriad of other benefits. And the amount of skills young people have developed in just a few days, I think it goes to show what an asset the Raise Up Foundation is to this community.
Brilliant. And you having only joined the winter program, so how have you found your own skills have developed as a result?
Yeah, I think I've become much more articulate, because before I wouldn't really dream of going up in front of a crowd of people and being able to speak freely. However, now I'm much more comfortable with that. So my presentation skills have also improved. So when I'm presenting, my body language is much better.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you for that, Raheel. and we'll come back to actually some of those points, because you make some interesting points, especially about building confidence as well. Next question to you, Halima. You and I were speaking off air about the work that you do at Children's Academy as well, but is the work with charities, I know, is quite important, and I know on the Future show we've had young people from Children's Academy along with Mr. Bell in the past as well. But you have been involved in the summer and winter program as well.
Yeah.
So describe for the listeners what that's entailed, because you obviously have come back for more, so you must have enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the summer as well, especially because we had lots of activities and there was always, every day was always something new to learn about. So like we did a lot of sports, boxing, MMA, archery. We even had like hockey coaches come in, and I haven't done hockey before, so that was a neat experience. Like we were involved in so many new things that we haven't done before, and I've never really had the opportunity to do hockey before, so it was a really nice experience. Not only having fun things, but it was like a learning process for us too, so we still like learned and had fun, and I feel like the mix of those two really makes Raise Up what it is. And we did a lot of workshops like journalism, poetry, spoken word. We were in front of judges promoting charities, so it's a lot of good work for the community, and it helps us learn about charities, help our own community, and make the future a bit more better. I learned a lot of new skills, like I was a bit more nervous like speaking in front of other people and like in front of judges, but they helped boost my confidence. And we had a filmmaking project recently, and that there was a prize of a £300 voucher too, and we were speaking in front of like judges about charities, and we learned a lot of marketing skills. And I think these are skills that definitely we're not always taught at school, so it's really important, because like when we're going into the future world and we're going into like jobs and that kind of stuff, we need those skills. So it's been like a lot of learning experience for me.
I was fortunate enough to be here last week to be one of the judges for the competition where you showcased your videos. Now, I was totally blown away, as were all the other judges, with the quality of the films that you'd put together as well. So describe for the listeners your own involvement. Which charity were you representing?
So I was representing Mary Seacoast Housing Association, and I hadn't heard of the charity before. I was more involved in the presentation side, so I had to like speak about the charity and had to do my own research. So that was that.
Yeah, and it certainly is a reminder. A project like that is certainly a reminder of the number of charities that exist in our town and the amazing good causes that they represent as well.
Yeah, and it feels really like good for us to be able to have the chance to get involved in these good causes that actually impact our community a lot. Like you wouldn't think there'd be a lot of like poor people in the community, but there is.
And no, you're right, and certainly, and listeners will know, I'm no stranger to this, but I'm very close to Luton Food Bank and Level Trust, and certainly there is a lot of difficulties that people in our town are facing, and I really, really want to praise you all for the work that you put into those videos, and certainly they are available on social media for listeners to view as well. Raheel, do you want to tell us a little bit about the charity that you represented in your project?
So just to reiterate, at Raise Up, one of the main activities was actually you had to produce an advert for a charity of your choice. So there were 4 teams in my group. There was Noah Enterprise, Luton Food Bank, Keach, and Discover Islam. I was representing Luton Food Bank, and our team had to choreograph a video to show the struggles that people in this town face, and the food poverty that is actually very prevalent in Luton. And we had to design a presentation and present it in front of a panel of judges. So it was a very great experience, and it also raised awareness of the difficulties that many people in our community are facing.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant, Raheel. And how did you find that process? What was your own role in the production of the video?
So really, I was the one who was contributing ideas on how to edit the video and how to piece it together. And also, I was the one who was assigning people roles, so I was one of the leaders.
Brilliant. Okay, well done to you both, Raheel and Halima. I want to come back to you, Anna. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came by getting involved in Raise Up, because I know certainly you've been involved in a lot of community initiatives.
So I got involved with Raise Up because I think in general, the Raise Up Foundation, the vision behind it, that was like a really big ambition of my mum, because I think she's seen for a long time how racism and poverty and all these different factors, they kind of set children at disadvantage that obviously is at no fault of their own. And I think that through that, she wanted to just do what she could just to level that playing field. And I think that just growing up, I've always seen my mum go above and beyond just in the lives of her own children to balance those kind of inequalities. So I think for me, just on a personal level, to get involved with Raise Up, to offer those same opportunities that my mum has really tried to give me and my siblings to, the community at large, was something I was really, I still feel really privileged to be a part of. And I think more and more as I come across the children that are actually benefiting from these services, you see that you might just take for granted that every day you get to do something, or even something as simple as hockey, or even being around new people every day, the chances to do debating, you might just think that's so kind of mundane. But for some children, you really see that, I think you just see firsthand that poverty is so, the effects of it are so widespread that you just kind of ignore that.
And I also want to ask about the opportunities that Raise Up provide as well, because you've mentioned the issues around poverty and disadvantaged communities as well. Why is Raise Up working with young people to provide them with the best opportunities?
I think that often we just ignore how pervasive poverty is and how long-term and devastating its impact can be for children, and it kind of sets you up on a trajectory that is not your full potential just from the outset. And I think personally, I've seen, even from my own experiences from the university I go to, I see a clear difference in children that have grown up from disadvantaged backgrounds and those children who have had access from the very start to the very best opportunities. And I think it's a question of not being able to just get the grades in some cases, but then you see that in the corporate world you're unable to engage at the same level because you can't relate to the same experiences as your workmates. And so you're constantly, I think it compounds feelings of imposter syndrome because you're constantly out of place. You can't relate to workplace discussions, and even in the classroom, the ideas and things that are being brought up, the language that's used is really you feel always out of your depth. And I think you just always feel on the back foot a bit. And I think that Raise Up, even these small things like the debating sessions, even meeting new people every day and having to present yourself to them, and having to make new friends. I think that's such an important skill that we just ignore those skills, and because we kind of think that once you've got the grades, that's enough. But actually, there's so much more to that, and there's so many things that just kind of reveal themselves as kind of showing that, you didn't have that start in life that other people did. And I think that children have so much potential, and it's just so unfortunate that even they don't see that in themselves because they don't sound like the people that are successful, they don't look like the people that are successful. I think here that even when you see people from the local community coming in to support them, showing people that look like you, that sound like you, that started off in the same places, you have gone on to achieve things that you never thought were possible. And I think, I think that is so much more powerful than people might realise.
Listeners, you're joining me on the Future Show, a Raise Up Foundation special. I'm joined here by Hafsa, Anna, Raheel and Halima, speaking about their experiences at the Raise Up Foundation, reflecting upon the winter program as well as the summer program where it all started. Hafsa, I want to come back to you as well. What are your early days yet, but what are your plans for 2022 for Raise Up?
I think we've got some projects in the pipeline, others we're going to be working on developing. We've got a law access program coming up where students that are interested in accessing law, they can kind of go shadow some law students have a look at what it takes to be a lawyer, what kind of skills they need to develop, what kind of courses they need to go into. That's something that's coming up. We will also have a med access course. We're also open for students to contact us at any time asking for kind of careers advice, educational advice. We've had that. That's something that's always coming in. Some of the other projects we have is a mentoring program. So we're asking local adults, professionals and non-professionals to kind of come forward, put themselves forward to kind of mentor kids on a one-to-one basis. Like Anna said, that's something that's really important for students to see people like them from the same backgrounds, kind of that have gone to kind of achieve lots of different things. And getting to meet them one-to-one kind of really does fuel an ambition that they might not otherwise have, and kind of shows them that they can achieve things that they otherwise might not have thought they could.
Halima, I'm reflecting upon your responses, you sharing your experiences. I'm really, really impressed, I have to say as well. I'm sure the listeners are too. I recall growing up in Bury Park and the opportunities that were provided by youth programs similar to Raise Up at the time as well. And I remember that it was something different from school. So school, you very much were in a routine. You had your friends there as well. But being in an environment like this, you're meeting new people, making new friends as well. So how would you describe that impact upon well-being and confidence and those sorts of things as well, especially given we've had such a difficult almost 2 years now?
So the atmosphere that Raise Up that creates is very supportive, and we're encouraged to go into new things that we haven't done before. And they try to boost our confidence by putting us into presentations in front of judges, and they're very welcoming. So just recently we had a talk about self-image and social media, and these are certain issues that I can relate to a lot, because especially the youth is always on social media. So we talked about how on social media you see all these celebrities that they look so good, and it makes you feel, and then other people when they look at themselves they're like, okay, well I don't look that well, and it kind of brings your self-esteem down. And a lot of people use filters, and that they lead the Insta life, which isn't actually real to reality. And so we were kind of discussing that, and it was open to debate as well. And I feel when we speak about those type of issues, it really makes you look at it, and it gives you the help that you need, especially because it's a lot of the issues that the youth face nowadays too.
Brilliant, thank you. Raheel, we were speaking about your experience at Denby. I went to Denby High School as well myself, many years ago as well, and I remember that jump up, because you're in year 11 and you're going to be making that jump up soon as well. I know I struggled with that jump up from Denby High School to college as well, but it seems like your short experience of being in the Raise Up environment has really boosted your own confidence, and you're really looking forward to that jump up. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Do you have any own sort of, are you thinking about A-levels and the like as well?
Yeah, I'm thinking about A-levels, so I'm thinking about going into something like computer science or something related to technology, because it's a sector that's increasing and has a lot of jobs, and also I'm very passionate about maths and computing and technology. So for A-levels I'm looking to do maths and computer science and physics as well.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, I'm sure the listeners will join me in wishing you all the best for your GCSEs as well, and hopefully, and no doubt, you'll be staying with Raise Up as well, and you'll be joining Anna in a sort of ambassadorial role, representing the organisation going forward. No doubt.
I look forward to being a volunteer.
Brilliant, good stuff. Hafsa, listeners will be listening, and I've really been impressed by the young people, and I've been lucky enough to spend quite a bit of time at Raise Up Foundation over the past week or so, as well as during the summer as well. They are an impressive bunch. They come here,
Definitely.
and they are very much really confident, outgoing, sociable, articulate, intelligent, all those things as well. What sort of, where would you like to take Raise Up in your role? What sorts of things are you really relishing, looking forward to getting involved in?
I think ultimately it comes down to spending a lot of time with our young people. I think an important part of to raise up is to spend time with our young people, try and see what kind of things they want in life, and trying to find ways to support them. So trying to find out what courses they might want to study, what kind of hobbies they might want to pursue, what kind of educational opportunities they might want to seek out, and we want to try and provide them with the scaffolding that they need to kind of achieve those targets.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really pleasantly surprised with this winter club. We've had so many different students from so many different backgrounds that have come, some in care, some from really kind of straitened circumstances, and they've all really got stuck in. We've seen some students supporting other students. We've seen, so many developed skills that they otherwise would not have had. We've seen people struggling with self-confidence, people struggling to kind of speak in front of a panel of people. And one of the highlights, Anna, Raheel and Halima mentioned, was when we had the charity presentations. And one thing that we didn't mention was that they stood up in front of a panel of representatives of adults and and young people in a room, and they kind of presented themselves. They spoke really confidently, really articulately. They kind of showed how they've gotten to know the Luton background, the different kind of issues facing our community, and they kind of got to know the different organisations that are present in Luton that can help them develop their skills, that can help, give back to the community, whether that's school children or adults. They looked at housing issues that are kind of, Luton people are facing, so many different things. And, we saw them really kind of come from not knowing some of these issues to kind of really being well informed, and then kind of feeding back to the rest of the room. It was, it was a really proud moment.
And of course, they're going to be returning to their schools now with feeling that sense of empowerment as well. They've got that information. They've really got that awareness now of a greater range of issues in the community.
Yeah, most definitely. And they've made, bonds and links with other students from other schools, not only just students, but adults. And I think that will really help them going forward. I'm hoping that will have a domino effect, with themselves, their siblings, their friends, and so on and so forth.
Brilliant. We've spoken to Raheel about his own sort of educational aspirations. Halima, do you want to tell us a little bit about yours? So which year are you in? You're at Chiltern Academy.
Yeah, I'm in year 10.
You're in year 10. Okay. So are you thinking about careers? Are you thinking about college? Are you thinking about sorts of things that are of interest to you?
I am, because our school does a lot of careers, PowerPoints and stuff like that, and Raise Up has obviously definitely spoken about that and given us the skills that we need. I'm currently doing the Duke of Edinburgh Award, so I'm just trying to get that done by 2020, so yeah.
Brilliant, that's good to hear. I want to direct, we're fast coming to the end of the show. I want to just ask about sorts of opportunities that are provided to the community, such as the A-level results day. Anna, just tell us a little bit about that. How would you encourage people listening into the show to get involved because they are important?
Yeah. So for this most recent A of Results Day, we had a support session for anyone that either missed their grades or did better than they expected, or just general advice to see that what's the best thing what's my best choice now with these set of results that I have, and just to help navigate that process. Again, I think it comes down to there's kind of a lack of awareness, or maybe just kind of, I think there's just maybe a lack of aspiration too, that kind of people, they see a certain path just outlined for them, and they don't kind of always think that they're capable of looking beyond those. But I think the role of Raise Up is just to kind of raise up those expectations and to show people that there are so many routes to so many different things that are definitely open to them, and to recognise that people from the background that they are from can add so much value to places, and giving them access to those, to give a voice to those, to kind of give voice to those kind of experiences that are not in those places. I think that I've seen maybe from my own context and the places that I've now been able to have access to see that the difference that you have, the value that you add, because you have an insight that is really rare in those kind of circles.
Brilliant, thank you. Final question then to you, Hafsa, if there are parents listening in, young people listening in, how do they get in touch with Raise Up?
I would definitely say email us at info@raiseupfoundation.org.uk. We really want to hear from our young people, what they, how we can support their needs. We also would love to hear from the community. What we do at Raise Up would not be possible without the volunteers that we have. Like, for example, today we had some doctors come in during their lunch break to kind of carry out basic life-saving training. We want to hear from professionals, non-professionals, people from different backgrounds. Please email us, get in touch with us, let us know what you could offer our young people, what services, whether that's shadowing, whether that's kind of, delivering a training session, whatever you have to offer. We really want to hear from you and we really need your support.
Hafsa, Anna, Raheel and Halima, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Listeners, you have just heard Amar Azam speak with Hafsa, Anna, Raheel and Halima, discussing their experience with Raise Up and the opportunities that it provides. In the first half, you were joined by myself as well as Rehana, Faisal and Shazam to discuss the journey of how Raise Up began. Thank you so much for joining us.